Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Season 1, Episode 3. These will be my thoughts on the episode. I will do a Season 1 review type of thing with a full, slightly more structured review with highlights and lowlights, things of that nature. At the end, I think that's the form I'm going to do for reviews. It seems to work where I give my general thoughts and then sum the season up by one because it seems less complicated that way. So, let's brief follow up to where we began this. Episode 1 had a big problem. I'm not going to go over it. You can watch the episode 1 for me to expound upon it. Episode 2 was orders of magnitude better, right? But the problem in that episode was I cared way more about the 1950s storyline than I did about the 2014 storyline. Okay? This episode, I began to really care about the modern storyline almost as much as the past storyline, and there was really only one major flaw in it. Okay, so what happens in this episode? Essentially, let's get a little reprisal here. So essentially, our team, the mystery brother and sister and their hacker friend meet Kurt Russell's character, who is the older Lee Smith, right? And they escape from the forced retirement community that they had that Monarch had put Kurt Russell in. So taking Monarch in a darker direction in this one, which is fine, I guess. They had Charles Dance and Genocide Mom as two of their main characters, I don't know, from the movies. So I'm sure some pretty dark stuff happened, right? So Kurt Russell, he knows his limitations as an actor and the type of roles he has to play. In other words, you're not going to see Kurt Russell playing like, a mafia don very effectively, or like a concert pianist or something, like a historical artist type or whatever. But for these sort of action-oriented, charisma-based roles where he's a leader character, he people will say, well, he tends to play himself in every role. It's a little bit of that, but so does Robert De Niro. It's just De Niro's range; he can play a lot more stuff, right? So he's playing a classic Kurt Russell character in this episode. He's a leader who knows how to lead. He also knows that he's got these younger generation of people that don't have any inbuilt reason to believe in him and let him lead them, so he has to earn their respect and trust. So he also takes, like I said, I like that role he takes on in this, right? In the past, if you hadn't got where they're leading up to, if you remember the beginning of Godzilla 2014, it began with the Castle Bravo nuclear bomb explosion and Godzilla surfacing on the water out of it. Now, as we know from the legendary Monsterverse, all the U.S. nuclear tests in the South Pacific were attempts to kill Godzilla. Okay, so we know, but the thing is, Castle Bravo was far and away the biggest one. I don't even think that the people who did these movies know that the Castle Bravo was a 15 megaton nuclear explosion. It was only supposed to be like 1 megaton or 5 megatons, something like that. So there's no, based on that, I know I'm a little wonky here. There's no nuclear bomb humanity has ever built which would do more than annoy Godzilla. Okay, even the Tsar Bomba would basically scratch him, and that's about it. Okay, because when Castle Bravo went off and he was at ground zero, the force of the explosion didn't even cause, and he was swimming, mind you. Okay, it didn't even cause him to move. Okay, now in this one it goes off, he's standing up, which is even more of a feat because he's literally standing like in the fireball clearly, whereas before in the movie footage he could have been outside the fireball. So the fireball doesn't hurt him, the concussive force doesn't hurt him, and obviously he just absorbs all the radiation. But me wonking out about Godzilla is one thing, okay? But the point is they're leading up into that test, and you can see now they have the character. This general looks like the character from the movie, the footage from the movie and all that. So you can see where they're leading, right? Even when they get to the test, there's our polygamist, So when they get, I thought it was rather nifty when they get to the beach scene. Let's see if we can see it. So this is that. So this was them. Here we go. I don't know if they show it or not. Well, I know they show it. Yeah, they show. This is what they showed. It's very neat how when they did the show, they tied this into the footage from the nuclear explosions with the people observing on the beach and all that. So I thought that was kind of neat. Okay. Now my only complaint about this episode is we know Godzilla easily survived that nuclear explosion, right? But they're going to do a 2-year time skip, right? And we know we could look at we could call up the list of the nuclear tests which were ongoing, and it was stated that all of them were attempts to kill him, which they meant baiting him in with nuclear bombs and detonating him in some failed attempt to kill him. So they do a 2-year time skip where they give you the impression that they're just going to ignore Godzilla and go look for other monsters. Okay, I thought that was the one flaw in the writing. Right now, so that was my one complaint about the episode. Was I just thought that way they should have mentioned that Godzilla survived, and they should have kept up with them looking for track Godzilla, and them agreeing to do it because they knew the tests weren't going to hurt him. Whereas it's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll keep finding Godzilla for you. And they know they're just feeding Godzilla, not hurting him. But anyway, so that was and this scene I'm going to play it, and hopefully I don't get dinged for it. But I know it's because it's Godzilla. Let me get a little further. Here we go. I'm going to play about 10, 12 seconds of it. Skip a little more. I really love this shot. They really did a nice. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of Godzilla. There'll probably one Godzilla fighting a monster in this whole thing, But okay, I'm not going to show any more. I don't want to get dinged. I will show one more thing. So I really loved that they put him in there and they did well with the footage. And then we get the other monster stuff. Obviously spoilery. It turns out that when they eventually find their father, the missing father, whose name I don't remember right now, and they find a camp where the plane had landed. It turned out the plane wasn't destroyed. It was destroyed afterwards, and we get the introduction of a new monster, which I believe is based on a classic mythological beast, and I think in D&D there's a monster in AD&D that's similar to this. I just can't remember it offhand. Okay, so I kind of dug that. I mean, so the episode to me, except for the one flaw I mentioned, I think I gave the last episode 8.5 out of 10. This is probably an 8 out of 10. This could have been a 9 or 9.5. They had just cleaned up that one detail with Godzilla surviving and the reaction to that would have been nifty, So there's that. I'm still not sure I like the idea of Monarch being. I mean, I know they are because of Tywin Lannister / Charles Dance and Genocide Mom. They were dominant forces in Monarch at the time, So I get that there's a dark underpinning to it going on, and maybe if they're going to tie into that, it'd be neat if at some point Charles Dance makes appearing in this show. That'd be really cool. Because he was the villain they should have kept been in that, and should have got rid of Genocide Mom completely. What else can I say? And that's more or less it. Again, so far through 3 episodes in, there's been no really. The production values are great. They had that. You could fast forward through good chunks of the first episode with that polygamy crap, and not because I want to say, well, polygamy is bad or whatever. I'm not making a political statement. I'm saying that when you in a kaiju movie or TV show, the main plot should be the kaiju, and the human plot should all be tied into the kaiju. reaction to the kaiju, dealing with the kaiju, searching for the kaiju, fighting the kaiju, whatever it is. No one cares about human relationships in any of these films. None of them. The only one, or let me put it this way. Way back in the original Terror of Mechagodzilla, if I'm remembering correctly, Dr. Mifune's daughter, who was a cyborg her body was turned into Mechagodzilla's brain. And so there was a bit of a romance between her and the main male lead of the show. And then she had to die to kill Mechagodzilla. That's a case where a romance can matter because the tragedy of the loss related to the kaiju. But if the relationship has nothing to do with the kaiju, no one cares. No one wants to see it. No one cares about it. And that's why you lose money on all these legendary films, all of which could have made another $300 or $400 million had they cut down human stuff a lot. If they'd cut down some of the human relationship crap in Godzilla 2014, knocked 15, 20 minutes out of that film, had an hour and 10-minute Godzilla movie, people would have went back showing after showing, because then Godzilla would have been in like 1/3 of the film instead of like 1/10 of the film. Anyway, I don't want to point again. I'm not gonna. This is the last episode where I'm gonna smash on about how to do a proper kaiju film, unless they make the mistake in the next episode. So, my name is Matt. This has been UNBEARABLE 73. Have a nice weekend, and I am out of here.